I guess. Well, there's the other one where it's like, where my hug at, son, or look how small my hands are, daughter. So I guess it's like, what type of cringe would you rather your kid be?
Where my hug at, son?
Because listen, it's a slippery slope.
The hands is a play on the man's appendage.
Look at how small my hands are, daughter. It's a very slippery slope to thought daughter. That's like the Pokemon evolution before thought daughter. Right. That's the ultimate evolution.
That used to be one of my go-to. Like you start speaking to it. Oh wow, your hands are a little
small.
See, because every man knows. Of their own. So with that being the case, like, your hand is, that's interesting. That'd be a double fister. Okay, cool. And then you just kind of move from there. So I'd rather have the cringe son.
Yeah, the cringe son. You know, where my hug at?
Because you could always uncringe your son. You can't unho your dog.
Cringe son is so funny.
It's so crazy because I feel like I would have been in my younger years, like 7th, 8th grade. I would have been a where my hug at son had I not been too shy. Like my shyness saved me.
I was a where my hug at son.
No,
well, not necessarily. I mean, to a certain degree.
Breaking news.
Yeah, because when I had no game when I was younger. I still remember when I was in 6th grade. Man, I was like begging on AIM, instant messenger. Like I don't want to say begging, but I was. You know, when you go back and forth, like, who do you like in the class? Oh, I like this person. I noticed you didn't mention me. Why didn't you mention me? I like you. Why don't you like me? So one of those. So I was one of trying to figure it out, kind of thing. But I think everybody, to a certain degree, you kind of have to endure that to figure out
100%.
how to, because that was probably like the peak level of cringe. I think if you're lucky,
you grow out of it.
Right. I wasn't trying to friendship my way into some ass as I got older.
No, like for me, it was one of those things where I didn't even get no attention. So I was almost like less like where my hug at, but more like
where my anything at.
Like incel vibes, like more like incel, like
building up anger. Like, why won't they look at me?
No, because I was never angry. It was more so like a puzzle I needed to figure out. But like incel in the sense that like it's like they didn't like me and I was just too shy to talk to them. I was a quiet, like one of those like quiet kids that just didn't talk to women. And then I slowly started to figure it out. You know,
what's something girls do that make you guys cringe?
What girls do that make me cringe?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
So
like, what's something you're like, fuck, shut up, bitch.
Bro,
so cringy.
Asking questions that they already know the answer to, kind of.
Makes you cringe or it just annoys you? There's a difference.
Oh yeah, it makes you cringe. Okay, so makes me cringe probably the lack of self-awareness. I think I saw a meme where it said like, have you ever noticed there's always a woman that's just in the way?
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, yo, I've never identified with something more in my life, because if you walk down a street, it's like a head in the daylights so kind of situation. You get the Rocky Steps.
Yeah.
I went to Philly and everybody's running the Rocky Step. This girl's, wow, look, that cloud is just, it kind of looks like a Pokemon.
Oh,
like
I think that's cute. I think a woman's supposed to be kind of like clueless like that.
No, I love the idea of like a woman being in the way.
Yeah, I think it's cute.
To a certain degree, but then there comes a point where it's like, you ever seen people cross the street and you just don't look at your left and right? So it's one of those things where there's a expectation of a very practical world. And that's where I kind of cringe, because you think, oh, well, bad things aren't supposed to happen. We're going to go a little dark here. Not because I'm black, but if you look at rape culture.
Oh, shit, bro. Don't give him another glass.
Right. The best counter, why don't we just teach men not to rape? Well, Einstein, we don't. There's just criminals who exist. You can't just expect them to not exist. So with that being the case, if there's no precaution that's taken on your end, and you're like, they should just stop doing. Bad people are going to do bad things.
So you cringe at that?
I cringe at the fact that you think this isn't a possibility. It's like, oh, well, if you go out you almost have a guarantee that you come home. That's not the case. I think amongst men, even when men speak amongst men, there's a possibility danger can happen.
Yeah.
If I were to step so far out of line, there'll come a point in which we have to engage in a battle of fisticuffs and we move past the point of civil discourse. But with women, it's almost like when you see a lady who can be barking off at a dude, and it's almost like you never pondered the fact this could be one of the guys who don't care about the social contract of not hitting a woman.
Yeah.
So I always cringe when I see there's a woman who kind of just doesn't think a possibility of danger can transpire at any point. So that's me.
Do you have any X, Renee?
Oh, yeah, no, I got the biggest cringy thing is when girls say something they think they're cool for saying it.
Yes.
That's the biggest cringe for me. So it's like, because girls will do a voice. I don't think women talk like this inherently, but like they know when they're trying to be cool. So they'll be like, oh, like here's a great example. If a girl says like, yeah, I only wear Chanel. I'm like, oh, that's so cringy. I'm like, don't say that around me because you're embarrassing me in front of people. If you say that, if you were to say that, I'd be like, oh, that's so cringy. I cringe for them. I'm like, ugh. You know?
Yeah. Much softer than my testimony, but
it's like I only eat like sushi from here. I'm like, oh, that's so cringy, bro.
And you want to know why? My biggest issue with that is your actions, or I should say how you carry yourself should answer, or I should say broadcast that rather than you having to say it. Because if you only wear Chanel, I should only see you in Chanel, and I would come to the delineation of, oh, well, you only wear Chanel. Versus you having to inform me as if I can't obviously see. If you have Chanel heels on, Chanel skirt, Chanel top,
it should speak for
Chanel
itself.
bag, it should speak for itself. Chanel rings, Chanel
things
sunglasses.
Like that is so cringy.
Like don't state the obvious.
Yeah. It's like super cringy. So that one is like, whenever someone does anything like that, I'm like, oh, that's so cringy.
I hate when girls try to be one of the guys. And they're like,
what do you mean by that?
They either try to say like raunchy jokes or be raunchy, or like they pretend they're super into sports. They like amp up this like one of the guys pick me attitude.
Especially when you're trying the hardest to try to fit in with the dudes.
Okay, I had like a UFC watch party at my place, and my buddy brought this girl that he was seeing for a little bit, and she started betting on the fights, even though she doesn't watch UFC. And she out loud goes, "Hey," to her boyfriend, who will remain nameless, aren't you happier with a girl that appreciates sports?
Oh,
dude.
The worst. The worst.
Oh, God.
The
and
worst.
I was like, oh, shit. And honestly, he doesn't even give a shit about sports. So he was like, I guess. He was like, yeah, sure.
Right. It's
bro,
never the stuff like that is incredibly cringe. I don't like that. I don't like that. It's always weird.
Or when girls talk
about try hard.
Yeah, try hard. Like when girls talk about how much they get hit on. Like this was another girl that did that. Every place we went out together on a double date, she was like, that guy was just hitting on me. That guy just bought me a drink. And it's like, no, he didn't. No, he wasn't.
I think people do it for like a sense of importance.
Yeah, right. And that's cringy to me.
That's the equivalent of a guy saying how much he makes.
Yeah.
A guy saying how much he makes is super cringy on a date, at least, right? Like I do it for like transparency reasons. Some people think it's cringy, but like if I would never. I mean, obviously I would never go on a date because I'm married. But like if I was single, I would never go on a date and be like, yeah, I make this much.
Never.
That is the cringiest thing you could do as a man.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
So it's like I think that's the equivalent of a guy doing like.
I find
like
what I find so interesting, and I find it funny now, primarily because there's this large influx of incels or guys who struggle with dating or whatever. They always try to lean with their money, but they lean with their money the wrong way. Mm-hmm. The way you lean with your money is through experience. You don't lean with your money through flexing per se. Because for example, if you were to go to a nice steakhouse or you go,
I think it's the level of the flex. But continue your thought.
Yeah, no, I think the level of the flex to a certain degree. Because if you go to Vegas, you're at top of the world restaurant, then you take a helicopter tour, or then you private jet to the Maldives and all, and it's so overt. At that point, it's like, all right.
But I think you can't talk about it. I think if you can't flex
talk about
super hard,
it has to be a situation to where it's almost like, all right, yeah, cool, okay,
this
we
is
do
Saturday.
that. To where it feels routine. routine.
Yeah.
If you then go out of your way, it's not going to work.
I think if you're like, yo, I got a jet, it costs this much. It looks weird.
You're talking about it's the things that should be covert, not overt.
Yes, exactly.
So you end up doing too much.
So they lean on that, like, I paid $300 for dinner. It's too much.
Right. It should be a situation like, oh, well, you go out to dinner and before she even talks about what it is that she's interested in. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting, I haven't had why not get a tomahawk steak? I had tomahawk steak. They come over. What's your best wines or something of that nature? Ah, really? Okay. Don't even talk about price. You talk about the item.
Yeah.
Your actions in the midst of everything will then say, oh, this guy has... So you don't have to...
Because I think guys think that money impresses women. It doesn't. It's more so if you have money, you don't talk about it almost.
Right.
Drake has a bar, and he says, like, rich enough that I don't got to say that I'm rich.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a bar.
Right.
Like, if you're rich, people are just going to know.
Yeah.
Because guys can say, I make X amount of money. Where is it at, though? Mm-hmm. So I think that's where it gets cringy. It's like the second you lean on that, it's like, ooh.
Because you can walk in with a Hanes t-shirt, some Old Navy jeans with no belt, and some Skechers on the feet. You'll appear to be swaggerless, but you can walk into any place and how you carry yourself be like, yo, this motherfucker got some money over here. Like, 'cause even if you go to a club, you don't have to get a section. You could be the person who, oh yeah, how about a round for everybody who's here? And you don't make it hot. It's very calm, collective. Like I had one time I went to a bar. I don't know why I did this. It was one time I went to a bar and everybody who was sitting at the bar, it wasn't even too much people who was there. It was maybe about like 12 people. I'm like, oh, why not get a shot for everybody? And they poured it, and I saw people like, oh, who the hell get the shots? He was like, oh, that guy over there got the shots for everybody who was in here. It was a very small sort of thing, and then just lifted the shot glass.
It's in the little behavior, the little things.
Took my shot, went about my business.
Yeah.
Very calm, cool, collected. Now, I guess for me, the positive was if there was somebody, if I was trying to actively court in that particular moment, that could have been a super flex. But at that particular time, I had myself a good month. I'm like, yeah, why not? And it seemed like everybody was having a good time, so you do stuff like that. So it's subtle. But I think people, they overly do it to where it becomes cringe.
Yep.
And that's where the problem is. That's why there's so much people who make money who struggle with women because they don't know.
It's cringy.
How to do things. I always say the best pickup line is not even a pickup line. Just walk up, like you see a woman dressed well to the nines, walk over, like if she's wearing heels or whatever, ask why the color of the shoe. Why red heels?